Okay, this is setup of epicyclic gear train. Okay, so there are two shafts. One shaft is here, another shaft is here. This shaft is supported in this bearing, and this shaft is supported in this bearing. Okay, now we will separate it to understand arrangement. Okay, so I will remove this nut. Okay, so this shaft is supported in this journal bearing. Okay, okay, I can take it out. Okay, so it is supported here, and this gear is the sun gear. Okay, so whenever this shaft will rotate, that sun gear will also rotate, because that sun gear is mounted on this shaft with the help of keyway, key and keyway. Okay, key is there, keyway is there, and this part is also having keyway. Okay, so we will mount it. Okay, so whenever this shaft will rotate, this gear, which is sun gear, it will also rotate. Okay, now we'll focus on this remaining part. This shaft is mounted in this journal bearing. Okay, and it can turn like this. Okay, so I will take it out. Now you can notice, what is this part? This is arm or planet carrier. Okay, again, how it is mounted on this shaft? With the help of key and keyway arrangement. This shaft is having keyway and key is inserted, and this arm or carrier is having keyway. Okay, so this is how this arm or planet carrier is mounted on this shaft. These are planet gears. Okay, what this disc is representing? This disc is part of arm or planet carrier. There are 3 planet gears which can turn freely on the pin. Okay, so we can notice this arrangement. Planet gears can turn freely on the pin of arm, and where arm is mounted on this shaft, and this shaft is supported in this bearing. Okay, so what will happen? What kind of arrangement we are having? This sun gear will mesh with planet gear. Okay, this sun gear will mesh with planet gear, and these planet gears are going to mesh with this ring gear. Okay, so this ring gear is having internal teeth. You can notice internal teeth are there, and this ring gear will mesh with planet gears. Okay, and at the center there will be sun gear. Okay, so arrangement will be like this. Okay, now we will mount this arrangement. Okay, so once again, just observe it properly. What is this? This is arm or planet carrier, which is having shape like disc, which is having 3 pins, and on those 3 pins planet gears are mounted. These planet gears can turn freely. Okay, now I am going to mount this shaft in this journal bearing. Okay, and now we will focus on another shaft. Here, this is sun gear. It is mounted on this shaft. Okay, and this shaft will be supported in this bearing. Okay, but before that I will also insert this ring gear here. Okay, now I will mount it in such manner that this sun gear will mesh with planet gear. Now I will mount this arrangement. Okay, wait. Sun gear is mounted on this shaft. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, and this sun gear is going to mesh with planet gear, and now I will tight this support. Okay, so arrangement is like this. Sun gear is mounted on this shaft. It is meshing with planet gears. Planet gears are mounted on arm or planet carrier, and this ring gear will mesh with planet gears. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so this is the basic arrangement of epicyclic gear train which is used in the setup. You can notice this ring gear is having through holes on the periphery. Here is hole, here hole is there, here also hole is there. So like this, how many holes are there? 6 number of holes are there on the periphery of ring gear. Okay, so I hope arrangement is clear. So once again, sun gear is mounted on this shaft. These 3 planet gears are mounted on pin of the arm. Where is arm? Arm is mounted on, arm is this disc which is mounted on this shaft. Sun gear is meshing with planet gear is meshing with ring gear. Okay, this is the basic arrangement. Okay, so this is our setup of epicyclic gear train. Okay, we will come here. You can notice the arrangement. Okay, so in this setup, here you can notice there is a motor. Okay, and shaft of motor is connected to this gearbox. Now you can notice there is a gearbox. Now it is epicyclic gearbox. Okay, now how we can say it is epicyclic gearbox? Because previously whatever arrangement we have seen, okay, so previously we have already seen this arrangement. On this shaft there is a sun gear. Okay, sun gear is meshing with planet gear, and this planet gears are meshing with ring gear, and ring gear is mounted here. Okay, in this arrangement ring gear is here, but here in this gearbox, where is that ring gear? At the center you can notice thickness, this thickness. At the center there is a part, and here also you can notice this thickness. This thickness and this thickness is same, means this ring gear is here. Okay, and it is sandwiched between two parts of the casing. This part of casing is there, this part is also there. So there are two separate parts of the casing. Okay, so we have already seen that this ring gear is having through holes at the periphery. Okay, at the periphery it is just like a flange-like arrangement, and it is having through holes. Okay, how many holes are there? There are 6 holes. We have already seen it. Okay, now same ring gear is here. Okay, it is sandwiched between two parts, and these two are the parts of the casing. Okay, so here you can notice there is a bolt. How many bolts are there? 1, 2, 3. If you will observe properly, there are 6 number of bolts. Okay, now how this arrangement is there? Here bolt is inserted. So first it will pass through this part of the casing, then it will pass through ring gear, then that bolt will pass through next part of the casing. Okay, so like this, how many bolts are there? There are 6 number of bolts. Okay, now try to understand arrangement. What will happen due to that? This ring gear and this casing What is the purpose of this casing? Casing is there because we can insert some lubricant inside that casing. Okay, and that casing is connected to the ring gear. Means relative motion between ring gear and casing will be zero. Why it will be zero? Because bolt is directly inserted through casing, through this ring gear, and through another part of the casing. And you can notice same part is continued here, and this part is also having number of holes. How many holes are there? There are 4 holes. Okay. So in this arrangement, if we will fix this casing, what will happen? Ring gear will be fixed. Now try to understand arrangement. Same arrangement is there. We have already observed this setup. Sun gear is mounted on this shaft. So here also this sun gear is mounted on this shaft. Here also we are having motor. This motor is having its shaft, and that shaft is connected to sun gear. Okay, where is sun gear? It is not visible. Right now this entire arrangement is inside the casing. Okay, so that's why we cannot say it. But sun gear is mounted on motor shaft, means we have given input motion to the sun gear. Sun gear is meshing with planet gear. There are how many planet gears? There are 3 planet gears in this setup. Okay, and those 3 planet gears are mounted on the pin of the arm, and arm is mounted on this shaft. On this shaft, arm is mounted. And where is ring gear? So ring gear is here. Ring gear is connected to the casing, and we are going to fix casing. To fix casing, we are having this arrangement. Okay. So what will happen when your motor will start? You can notice this part of the casing is connected to this link. So that part will also try to turn, but as it is connected here and this part is connected to one dial and this part is connected to the frame. So what will happen? This will not rotate. This casing will not rotate. So in turn, ring gear will not turn. Okay, so once again, a basic arrangement. Where is sun gear? Sun gear is mounted on motor shaft. Okay, where is arm or planet carrier? Arm or planet carrier is mounted on this shaft, and on the same shaft there is a drum. Okay, and where is ring gear? Ring gear is here. So in this arrangement we are going to fix ring gear. So that's why we are having this arrangement. Okay, so now we will observe this panel. So here this is 2 position switch. Now it is off. I will move it in downward direction. Now you can notice that motor is rotating. Yes, motor is rotating, and output shaft is also rotating. Okay, output shaft is also rotating, and motor shaft is also rotating. Okay, both are rotating at different speeds that you can notice. Okay, even if it is not noticed, it will be clear from the reading. This is dimmer knob. Okay, so we can increase voltage, and you can notice speed is increased. Okay, now from this voltmeter we will get information about voltage, how much voltage that motor is having, and how much current is there. Okay, so that information we can have from this panel. Okay, now here you can notice one more panel is there, RPM indicator. Okay, so from this display we will get information about RPM, but how we will get that information? You can notice there is a switch. It is 3 position switch. Now it is at the center position. If I will move it in downward direction, now you can notice here we are getting some speed, and it is the speed of input shaft. Now how it is working, you can notice, yes, you can notice this light is blinking. It is proximity sensor. Okay, and on the shaft there is a bolt. So whenever that bolt will cross it, whenever that bolt will pass in front of that sensor, this light will blink. Okay. And this arrangement is used. Okay. If we want speed at output, we will move this switch here. Now here speed is 0. Why it is 0? Because now it is at the center position. Now we will move it in upward direction. Okay. Now here we should get speed at output. Here you can notice 45 RPM is the speed, and it is the speed at output. You can notice here we are having proximity sensor. Whenever that bolt will cross that sensor, this light will blink. Okay. And this information of speed is displayed here. Now you can notice speed at output is 45 and speed at input is 147. Sorry, not 147, it is 255.6. Okay. Here also you can notice by observation, input shaft is rotating faster than output shaft. Input shaft is rotating faster than output shaft. Yes, input shaft is rotating at higher RPM, but output shaft is rotating very slowly. So why this variation is there? Now you can notice whether this casing is rotating. No, that casing is not rotating. That casing is fixed. Input is given to sun gear, casing is fixed, and output is taken from the arm. Okay. So this is the arrangement, and on the same shaft, what is this shaft? This is the shaft on which arm is mounted. Okay. Now you can notice on the same shaft there is a drum. Okay. So you can observe this drum. So this drum is here. Okay. And you can notice there is a rope. One end of rope is connected to this dial. Okay. This rope is wrapped around this drum. Okay. Another end of rope is connected to this dial, and this dial is connected to the frame. Now here you can notice here what is written W1 means from this dial whatever reading we will get, for the reading we will use notation W1. Okay. And from this dial whatever reading we will get, for that we will use notation W2. Okay. So where this drum is mounted? This drum is mounted on the output shaft. And where is output shaft? Output shaft is that shaft on which arm or planet carrier is mounted. Okay. So how we can get torque at output? So obviously this rope arrangement is there, drum is there. Okay. So whenever we will operate this nut, now you can notice this dial is connected to this part. Okay. So this part is having thread, and here nut is there. So this red color part is nut, and we can turn it. And whenever we will turn this nut, you can notice what will happen. This part is moving. This part is moving in upward direction. Okay. So what will happen to the rope? Rope will be pressed against this drum. Okay. And here we will get some reading. Okay. So this is how we can have W1 reading and W2 reading. Okay, and by using this readings, we can find out output torque. So how to find it, that we will discuss. Now here you can notice one more dial is there. Okay, so this dial will give us reading S. Okay, so whatever reading we will take from this dial, for that we will use notation S. Okay. Now from where we are getting that reading, you can notice there is a string, and it is connected to this link, and this link is connected to this part. And where is this part? This is actually the part of casing. Okay. And we are knowing whatever speed casing will have, same kind of speed ring gear will have. Okay. Now due to this arrangement, casing cannot turn, means ring gear is fixed. For that we are having this arrangement. In reality, ring gear or this casing will be connected to structure, will be connected to fixed link or will be connected to ground. But here, as we are interested in the reading of holding torque, that's why we are having this next part to which this red color link is connected. You can notice with the help of bolt. Okay. So what will happen due to this casing cannot turn. Okay. And how much tension will be there in this thing or how much force will be there, that information we are getting from this dial, and for that we are using notation S. Okay, so title of this experiment is Speed and Torque Analysis of Epicyclic Gear Train to determine holding torque. Okay, now we will go for observations. Now you can notice here effective radius of drum is written, and for that notation used is small r, and it is equal to 0.08 meter. Now it is radius of which drum? In the setup we have already seen this drum is there. It is mounted, this drum is mounted on the output shaft. So radius of this drum. Okay, so what we have written, effective radius of the drum means it will be radius of drum plus radius of this rope. So that total distance is given, and how much it is? So what is effective radius? Radius of this drum plus radius of this rope, and it is 0.08 meter. Okay, now next term is also there, torque arm length, and for that notation used is L. Okay, and it is 0.06 meter. Okay, now it is in meter, and previously what we have seen, effective radius of drum, it is also in meter, means in centimeters it will be 8 centimeter. Okay, so 8 centimeter. Okay, so this radius, effective radius of drum will be 8 centimeter. 0.08 into 100 means in centimeter it will be 8 centimeters. Okay, so torque arm length, for that we have used notation L. Okay, and it is 0.06 meter. Now where is that distance? Okay, now we will observe it. Here there is axis. Okay, this entire arrangement is having one axis of rotation, and you can notice there is a link, red color link. It is connected to this string, and this string is connected to this dial, and from this dial we are going to take reading, for which we are going to use notation S. Okay, for which we are going to use notation S. Okay, now where this link is connected, it is connected to fixed casing. Okay, now why I am saying it is connected to fixed casing, because this arrangement, due to this arrangement, this casing cannot turn, and as casing will not turn, that ring gear will also not turn. This ring gear will also not turn. Okay, so what is that torque arm length? It is the distance between this bolt and axis of rotation. Okay, it is distance between this bolt and axis of rotation. So how much is that distance? That distance is 0.06 meter, means it is 6 centimeter. Okay, now we will observe this observation table. Okay, so you can notice first column is serial number. We will take 5 to 6 readings. The next column is input speed. Okay, for that we will use notation N sub I or N subscript I, and it will be in RPM. Okay, so we will measure input speed and we will also measure output speed. That is our next column. For that notation is N sub O or N subscript O, and it will be in RPM. So how we will measure the speed? We have already seen on this panel there is a switch. We can move it either in downward direction or in upward direction. If we will move this switch in downward direction, we will get speed at input. If we will move it in upward direction, then we will get speed at output. Okay. In observation table, next column is reading on tight side. For that, notation used is W1 and that reading will be in kg. And next column is reading on slack side. For that, notation is W2. Okay, it is also in kg. Now, where we are going to measure that reading? Okay, where we are going to take that reading? Okay, now where we are going to take this reading? W1 and W2, reading on tight side and reading on slack side. On setup, we have already seen there are two dials, and where are these two dials? So these two dials are connected to the rope, and rope is wrapped around this drum, and drum is mounted on output shaft. Okay, so from this dial we will get reading for W1. Okay, because here this drum is going to turn in clockwise direction, so that's why as drum will turn in clockwise direction, so here whatever W1 we will get, it will be reading on tight side. So why it will be reading on tight side? Because drum is rotating in clockwise sense, so obviously this will be tight side and this will be slack side. And here whatever reading we will get, for that we are using notation W2, which is our next column, reading on slack side W2. Okay, our next column is spring balance reading, and for that notation is S and it is in kg. Now where we will measure it? There is one more dial. Okay, and we are knowing this dial is connected to rope, rope is connected to the link is connected to the casing. Okay, and casing and this ring gear is just 1 unit. Why it is just 1 unit? Because bolts are inserted. We have already discussed it. Okay, means whatever speed that casing will have, same speed will be there for ring gear. Okay, but this arrangement is there to fix casing. Okay, and due to this link, what will happen? This ring gear or this casing, or we can say this casing, this ring gear or casing, it cannot turn, so it will experience some tension. Okay, or it will experience some load, and we can have information of that load here by notation S. So for that we are saying spring balance reading. For that notation is S and it will be in kg. And last column is current in ampere, and we can get that reading from this panel. So here ammeter is there and we can get that information from here. Okay, now motor is started. Now we will observe. So our first reading is input speed in RPM. We can move this. We can use this knob. We will move it in downward direction, and we will get input speed. It will be in RPM. Okay, and to get speed at output, to get NO, we will move this knob in upward direction. So this is how we will get output speed. Okay, now we have to go for reading on tight side. So where we are going to get that reading? We can get that reading on this dial. Okay, but before that, what we will do, we will operate this nut so that rope will be pressed against drum and we will have reading. Okay, now what you have to do, whenever I will tighten it, you can notice what will happen to this casing. Okay, so this is casing. Okay, what will happen to casing of epicyclic gearbox, that you can notice. Now I am operating this nut. Now here you can notice it has changed its position. Okay. Now whenever we will put this gearbox for some application purpose, okay, whenever we will use it in real life, definitely output will be subjected to some load, and due to that whatever fixed part is there. That fixed part will experience some load. So when we will take reading, we will take reading only when it will change its position. Only when this casing or only when this length will change its position. Okay, now here you can notice there are tremendous fluctuations. Okay, so what we will do, we will operate this nut. Okay, so this link has already changed its position. Okay, now we will operate this nut so that rope will be pressed against drum. Now you can notice here fluctuations are comparatively less. Okay, so now we can take reading. Fluctuations are there, fluctuations will be there. Okay, now how we will take reading? We will take value at the center. Okay, it is moving, we will take value at the center and that will be our reading. Okay, our next column is W2. From this dial we will get reading for W2. Okay, from this dial we are going to get reading for W2, and from this dial we are going to get reading for W1. So you can observe in observation table, input speed and output speed we can take from the panel. W1 and W2 we can take from these two dials. Next is spring balance reading, which we will take from this dial. Okay, and one more column is there, current in ampere. So from this display we will get that information. Okay, so this is how we will take reading. Okay, now this is our first reading. This is our first reading. Now how we will go for next reading? Okay, this nut is there, we will operate it further. Okay, so that rope will be pressed against drum, and here we can take reading for W1, then we can take reading for W2, we can take reading for S. Okay, and from here we can take reading for input speed. Okay, and if we will move this knob in upward direction, we can take reading for output speed, and we can even take reading for current. Okay. Similarly, what we will do for next reading? Once again, we can operate this nut. So again, rope will be pressed against drum, and here you can notice these values are increasing. Value of W1 is increasing, value of W1 is increased, value of W2 is also increased, value of S is also increased. Okay, and here also now we can go for input speed and output speed, and we can also take reading for current. Okay, so likewise, okay, here if I will move it in downward direction, I will get speed at input, and if it will be moved in upward direction, we will get speed at output. Okay, so likewise, what we can do, we can operate this nut and we can go for next reading. So this is how we will repeat the procedure, and we will take 5 to 6 readings. Okay, so now we will observe observation table. So we have taken reading. So you can notice this is our first reading. This is input speed in RPM. This is output speed in RPM. This is reading for tension on tight side. It is in kg, 2.5. It is tension on slack side, 0.95. It is also in kg. Spring balance reading 1.5 kg, and current in RPM is written. Okay, so likewise we have taken 5 readings. Okay, now we will go for calculation part. What we have to find is holding torque. Holding torque is associated with that element which is fixed. In this arrangement, ring gear is fixed. So this is the holding torque. T subscript H is the notation for holding torque, and that holding torque is related with ring gear. Okay, so how we can find theoretical holding torque? For that, we are going to use this notation. TO, that is torque at output, multiplied by NO divided by NI. N subscript O is output speed and N subscript I is input speed. Minus 1, okay, and we are multiplying this entire bracket by TO. And how we can find this TO? For that we can use this relation, W1 minus W2, that is tension on tight side minus tension on slack side, multiply it by 9.81, then multiply it by radius. Okay, so this is the output torque because the drum was mounted on output side, we are knowing it. So from rope brake arrangement, we can find output torque by using this relation. Okay, and once we will get this value, we can use this value here to find theoretical holding torque. Now we can even find actual holding torque. For that, we will use this relation S into 9.81 into L. Okay, what is S? It is spring balance reading. Okay, it is in kg, that's why we are multiplying it by 9.81. And here also you can notice, while calculating TO, we have multiplied W1 and W2 by 9.81 because that load is in kg, so we will convert it into Newton. That's why we are multiplying it by 9.81. Now, while finding actual holding torque, we will take spring balance reading, it is in kg, we will multiply it by 9.81, then we will multiply it by L. What is L? It is torque arm length. We are knowing value of this torque arm length. Okay, we have already seen it. Value of torque arm length is 0.06 meter, and we are knowing value of this R, effective radius of drum, it is 0.08 meter. Okay, so what we have to do, we will take first reading. Okay, so from that reading we can get input speed, output speed, we can get value of W1 and W2. Okay, so as we are knowing W1 and W2, we can find output torque. We can use that output torque here. We are knowing input speed and output speed from first reading. So this is how we can get theoretical holding torque. And we are also knowing spring balance reading. This L, that is torque arm length, it will be same for, L will be same. Torque arm length and effective radius of drum will be same for every reading. So we can use this value of S, okay, and we can find actual holding torque, and we will compare holding. Okay, now we will go for calculation of first reading. We have to find theoretical holding torque, TO into NO upon NI minus 1. Output speed, NO is 126, so we will write 126 here. NI, speed at input, it is 688, so we will write 688 here. Now we will find output torque. How to find it? For that we can use this relation, W1 minus W2. W1 is 2.5, so we will write 2.5 here. W2 is 0.95, okay, multiplied by 9.81 multiplied by radius, and radius is 0.08, okay, effective radius of the drum. Okay, now we can go for this calculation, then we will get value of output torque. It is 1.2164. We will put this value here. Okay, so theoretical holding torque will be 1.2164 multiplied by this relation, and we will get value minus 0.9936 Newton meter. So this is theoretical holding torque. Now we will calculate actual holding torque. Our relation is S into 9.81 into L. We are knowing value of L, it is 0.06 meter. Value of S we can take from here. It is 1.5. So we will take this value here, 1.5 into 9.81 into 0.06. It is 0.88 Newton meter. So this is actual holding torque, and theoretical holding torque was minus 0.9936. Okay, that minus sign is there due to direction, but you can notice magnitude is almost same. Okay, now we will put these values in result table. So obtained theoretical holding torque is minus 0.9936, so we will write minus 0.99, and actual holding torque is 0.88, so we will write it here, 0.88, and current we can take from observation table, it is 1.76. In result table you can notice First column is serial number, next column is theoretical holding torque, then actual holding torque, and then current. Okay, so we have already calculated theoretical holding torque and actual holding torque. So we will put these values here. Similarly, we will calculate values for other readings, and these values are written here. So what we can conclude from this? What we can conclude is theoretical holding torque and actual holding torque is almost same. You can notice 1.5, 1.4, 1.9, 2.06, 2.4, 2.5 means theoretical holding torque and actual holding torque is almost same. And you can notice value of current, it is continuously increasing. Why it is increasing? Because we are operating nut, that rope is getting pressed on the drum, means load on output is continuously increasing. As load on output will increase, motor will have tendency to fetch more and more current. That's why value of current is increasing. So what we can conclude from this? Theoretical holding torque and actual holding torque is almost same, and as load on output will increase, motor will fetch more and more current.